The magic beneath Westeros. Forgotten powers and ancient curses. Beneath the castles, beneath the crypts, beneath the forests, the rivers, and the roots of the weirwoods, lies a world most in Westeros have forgotten. A world of ancient powers. A world of forgotten gods and sleeping curses. This is not just the story of swords and crowns. This is the magic beneath Westeros. A force older than Valyria, more mysterious than the White Walkers, and far from gone. Today, we reveal the forgotten powers and ancient curses that still whisper through the stones of the Seven Kingdoms. Introduction to magic in Westeros. Westeros is a land steeped in myth and shadow. Unlike Essos, where magic was openly embraced in cities like Valyria and Asshai, Westeros has always been more grounded, more skeptical, more fearful. But that doesn't mean magic isn't there. In fact, the oldest magic in all of known history might reside right beneath its surface. Before the Andals, before the Targaryens, before even the first men, there was magic. And it shaped everything that came after. This is not the flashy fire magic of the Red Priests or the necromancy of the White Walkers. This is old magic, deep magic, the kind of power that doesn't just bend the rules of nature, it rewrites them. The children of the forest, nature's original sorcerers. Let's begin with the children of the forest, the first known inhabitants of Westeros. Small, mysterious, and ancient beyond comprehension, the children were not human. They lived in harmony with nature, carved faces into weirwood trees, and worshipped the old gods. But their connection to the world was more than spiritual. It was magical. The children were powerful in ways that defy modern understanding. They could speak to animals, control elements of the forest, communicate across vast distances through the weirwood network, and, perhaps most terrifyingly, manipulate time and sight through greenseeing. Their most feared abilities were held by the greenseers, seers who could look into the past, and even into possible futures. The greatest among them were said to merge with weirwoods, becoming part of the trees themselves. And yes, it was the children who unleashed a magical catastrophe. They are believed to have created the White Walkers. Driven to desperation by war with the First Men, they used dark blood magic to transform a captured man into the Night King, an act that spiraled into doom. The children's magic is embedded in the land, and even now, their songs echo in the forests of the north, in the heart trees, in the ravens who seem to see too much. Weirwoods, the eyes of the old gods. Let's talk about weirwoods. These haunting white trees with blood-red leaves are more than symbols. They're conduits, alive with memory, magic, and spirit. According to lore, when a face is carved into a weirwood, the tree becomes aware. It sees through the eyes. This is how the old gods watch. And those who kneel before a heart tree may, unknowingly, be kneeling before something ancient and awake. The entire network of weirwoods may be connected underground, through roots, through the earth, like an organic magical web. It is believed that greenseers, like Bran Stark, can tap into this network too. Witness the past, see distant events, influence thoughts and dreams. But what else do these trees contain? Some maesters fear they hold more than memories. They may be vessels for ancient consciousness, storing not just visions, but souls. The crypts of Winterfell, resting beneath a heart tree, were said to be shielded by powerful old magic. Why else did the Night King avoid them? Could the weirwoods be the last line of defense? Or something far darker than we realize? The curses of the First Men. When the First Men arrived in Westeros, they clashed with the children of the forest. These wars were bloody, lasting generations. In retaliation, the children cursed the First Men, or so the legends say. One such legend speaks of the curse of the Cranogmen, the small, swamp-dwelling folk who live in the neck. These people, descended from the First Men and possibly mixed with the children, were said to have magical protections around their lands. No army can march through the neck. It becomes a maze of illusions, quicksand, and sickness. This is not mere geography. It is said to be a living curse, placed there by the children, and sustained by blood magic. Other First Men bloodlines carry ancient gifts, and possibly, ancient curses. The Starks are rumored to have warg abilities for a reason. House Reed speaks of dreams that come true and talking frogs. Even some members of House Blackwood claim to hear the voices of weirwoods in their sleep. Old magic clings to these families like fog, offering gifts, but never without cost. The doom below, the Blackstone mystery. Now, we turn to something even more terrifying, black stone. Scattered across both Westeros and Essos are ruins made of a strange, oily, black material that no one can explain. It absorbs light, it feels wrong to the touch, and it may be older than any known civilization. In Aldtown, the base of the Hightower is built on this black stone. In the Summer Isles, black stone roads cut across the jungles. In Valyria, some believe the Deep Ones used it to craft strange monoliths. What is this stone? Some speculate it is fused stone, shaped by magic. Others claim it was brought from beyond the world by gods, or demons. Maesters who study the stone often go mad. Dreams become nightmares, and strange things happen to those who linger near it too long. Could the black stone be a relic of forgotten magic? Or worse, proof that something still lurks below the continents? What if the ground beneath Westeros is not just earth and bone, but a prison? The blood magic of Valyria. The Valyrians were the last great civilization to wield open magic, and they weren't subtle about it. Dragons, fire sorcery, curses, blood rituals. Valyrians sacrificed thousands to fuel their spells. They created weapons like Valyrian steel, which can kill White Walkers and possibly absorb magic itself. But what most forget is that the Valyrians were obsessed with binding. They bound dragons to their will. They bound their bloodlines through incest. And some say they tried to bind death itself, causing the doom of Valyria as a result. After Valyria fell, magic weakened in Westeros. Dragons died out. Greenseers became rarer. The world became duller. But then, the dragons came back, and magic began to stir once more. Some think the two are linked. Forgotten places of power. Across Westeros are ancient places of power, sites where the veil between worlds is thin. The Isle of Faces, where the pact between the children and the first men was signed. It is guarded by green men, and no outsider is allowed to land there. It may be the heart of the old god's power. The Night Fort, once the largest castle on the wall, abandoned due to terrible events. It is filled with stories of shadows, sacrifices, and a well that leads to nowhere. The crypts of Winterfell, said to contain secrets too dark for daylight. Some believe the statues come alive. Others say there's a final king buried too deep to wake. Storm's End, a castle said to be protected by ancient spells, impervious to storm or siege. Maesters suspect it was built atop a natural magic wellspring. Why do these places hold such dark energy? Because magic in Westeros never died, it just went underground. Curses that still haunt the realm. Magic doesn't just bless, it also curses. And Westeros is riddled with curses that span generations. The Targaryen madness is more than just genetics. It may be the result of centuries of magical inbreeding, driving the bloodline closer to either godhood or collapse. House Greyjoy speaks of the drowned god, a deity of the sea. But the sea is also home to whispers of the Deep Ones, ancient beings who may have cursed the Ironborn with a thirst for endless war. Harrenhal, the greatest castle ever built, was cursed from the day it was finished. Every house that rules it falls into ruin. The cause: Harren the Black defied natural law, building it too tall, too proud, too arrogantly on stolen land soaked in blood. Even the wall, believed to be just a fortification, holds ancient enchantments, spells that kept the dead out. Until they didn't. Bran Stark and the return of the old magic. Magic was sleeping, until Bran Stark woke it up. After his fall from the tower, Bran began to dream. He saw a three-eyed raven, heard whispers in the dark, and eventually found himself beyond the wall. There, under the weirwood roots, he became the new three-eyed raven, a title that is not just a name, but a position tied to cosmic memory. Bran can now see the past, present, and possible futures. Warg into animals and humans. Influence time itself. He is not just a boy anymore. He is a vessel for the oldest powers in Westeros. Some fear what Bran has become. Because those who remember the old ways know, when magic returns, so too do the consequences. The future of magic in Westeros. Now that the dragons have flown again. Now that Bran sits on the throne. Now that the Night King has fallen and the wall has cracked. Where does magic go next? Will it fade once more, slipping back into shadow? Or will it grow stronger, awakening old powers in new places? We may never know the full scope of the magic beneath Westeros. But we do know this. It is always there, waiting, watching, and sometimes, whispering. Final thoughts. Magic in Westeros is not a tool. It is not a trick. It is a living force, older than kings, deeper than dragons, and darker than we understand. The wars of men will